Hey everybody, how is it going? And welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to get into the market averages, and then I want to get into some of the copper stocks. I think the copper stocks are starting to look really good, starting to have some really nice looking charts. But of course, I want to start with the overall market until we get out of the woods with this pullback. As always, guys, remember this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion on how the charts are looking in the overall market for educational purposes only. Please make all of your own trading decisions. But as usual, I'm going to start off with the QQQ, which of course is the ETF for the NASDAQ. And with today's price action, I was thinking that this is actually a day for the bulls. You know, after a big reversal like we had yesterday, there is all kinds of opportunity for people that are bearish on the market to come in and sell this move down, and it hasn't happened as of yet. There's still some time left in the trading day, but unless the market, the bottom just falls out of the market, I think that this is going to be a pretty decent bullish day. You know, before the day started, I kind of figured that once we ran into this white line, this 8-period exponential moving average on the QQQ, there was a strong possibility of a reversal to the downside, or I thought maybe we were just going to push right through it like it wasn't even there and just keep going up for the rest of the day. But it's kind of just stuck right to that moving average, and it isn't moving hardly at all. So you know, as far as the current price action, I would just put that up in the corner for the bulls. You know, the fact that it's not selling off or it hasn't sold off yet is a very good thing. And the fact that we are getting this after a big reversal day just makes me think that odds favor next week we're probably going to end up being higher. So I think it's a good thing. Let's take a look at the spider, which is the S&P 500. You can see the S&P 500 is kind of doing what I thought the NASDAQ might do, to kind of just push through that moving average and keep moving up. So the spider is just a little bit stronger than the NASDAQ at the moment. And if we take a look at the diamonds, which of course is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's also sticking right to that 8-period exponential moving average. So it hasn't been able to get through it either. But you know, the fact that we're having some follow through to the upside on all of the indices is just good news as far as I'm concerned. And if we jump over to the IWM, you can see the IWM has also blasted through that 8-period exponential moving average, but it's having a little bit of a hard time at getting it through that purple line, which is the 21-period exponential moving average. So that's what happens when the market is in one of these pullback phases. You know, there's all kinds of obstacles to try to get through before you can make it towards some new high ground. But you know what they say, pullbacks in the market are healthy. It kind of sucks when you're going through it. You know, pullbacks, they only feel healthy when they're happening to other people's stocks, but it's just a part of the market. You know, stocks can't just go up every single day. So when you get pullbacks like this in the market, you kind of look for opportunities and, you know, try to buy some high quality stocks. And I was able to buy some in my M1 account yesterday. I wasn't able to get any in any of my other accounts, unfortunately, and I haven't really done hardly any buying today. So I want to wait for another couple of cards or so to come out of the deck before I do some major buying. If we can get this market to kind of hold up where it's at and then have another big up day, I think that could be a follow-through day that I am waiting for. I'll keep you posted if I see one of those. But let's get into the copper stocks now. All right, well, the first thing I have up is the copper industry itself, and on the TC2000, this symbol is IX1090, but as you can see, the copper sector is having a beautiful cup and handle pattern, probably one of the nicest ones I've ever seen. It's breaking out to a new relative high today, and if we look at this thing on the weekly chart, it looks even better. You know, just pulled all the way back down to that 50-period simple moving average on the weekly time frame, broke down through it for just a smidge, jumped right back above it, and has been rounding up ever since. So super strong pattern in the copper sector. Now let's jump into some of the individual names that I have on my TC2000 platform. First one I want to talk about is TRQ, which is Turquoise Hill Resources. Actually, let me jump back to the daily chart real quick. I've been looking at these copper stocks for a while. I haven't yet bought one. Every time I look at these charts, I'm wondering why I haven't snatched up one of these yet to have some copper exposure in my portfolio. You know, there are a lot of people out there that are calling for a potential super cycle in commodities. And of course, copper is one of the more important ones. And feels kind of foolish to not have any in my portfolio yet. But so getting back to Turquoise Hill, when I was watching these earlier, when I was considering putting some in my portfolio, Turquoise Hill was the worst performer by a mile. But ever since then, ever since the bottom dropped out in early November, this thing has just been getting bought up like crazy. And now this one has turned into the best performer, or at least the best performer on my TC2000 platform. You can see tons of green bars, tons of nice volume coming in, and this thing is knocking on the door of a new 52-week high. So, I mean, just a great looking chart for Turquoise Hill. Now, Turquoise Hill is one of the few stocks in this sector that I follow that don't pay a dividend. One of the things that are attractive about this sector is usually most of them do, even though dividends aren't monstrous, but Turquoise Hill is not one of them. The next one I want to talk about is Freeport-McMoRan, ticker symbol FCX. This one is probably the highest quality company. I know that's debatable, but it's certainly one of the higher quality companies in this sector. And you can see the FCX, its pattern is just mimicking that sector chart that I brought up. And we can see Freeport-McMoRan is knocking on the door of a new 52-week high today. So just a great, great looking chart. Freeport-McMoRan has a dividend of 0.7%, so under 1%. Not a very big dividend, but their payout ratio is only right around 10%. So if we end up getting a super cycle in commodities, like a lot of people are thinking, there should be a lot of money sloshing around in these companies if they're getting a lot more for their underlying commodity. And that leaves a lot of room for these companies to start cranking up those dividends. So these dividends could be a lot higher in the future if the price of copper, continues to move up. But the next one I want to talk about is SCCO, Southern Copper Corporation. This is the one I've kind of leaned towards just because they pay the highest yield. They have a dividend of right around 6%. The payout ratio is kind of high at about 75%. So that's one of the factors why I haven't, pulled the trigger on Southern Copper Corporation yet. But as you can see, a very strong pattern in SCCO. And this one also looks like it is rounding up and ready to potentially blast above this pivot point right here, right around $70 a share. And, if this one, even if this thing does end up lagging a little bit, it'd probably be pretty nice to be able to sit back and collect that 6% dividend on the way up. But the last one I want to talk about is HBM, Hudbay Minerals. This one's also forming a pretty nice looking rounded bottom formation, cup and a handle, whatever you want to call it. Everybody calls these patterns something different, but I've heard it referred to as both of those things, and that's the main thing is it's a bullish pattern. But you can see HBM is also knocking on the door of potentially getting to a new 52-week high. I know we had this spike here back in April, but just a bullish looking pattern HBM as well. They do pay a dividend. It is pretty tiny. It's about 0.2%. And actually, the payout ratio is right around 30%. So that's kind of high for just a 0.2% yield. But I would probably consider, HBM one of the lower quality ones. I hate to say that without taking a super deep dive into the company. But I mean, either way, it's still a beautiful looking pattern, certainly under accumulation. But there's no denying that these stocks look really strong right now. And if copper continues to move up, these stocks are most likely going to move up as well. All right, so let's get into my trading activity for the day. Before I get into any of that, I do have a Patreon group. The link is down there in the description. It's only $10 a month. I try to put out a pre-market video on the Patreon page, just showing you all of these trades that I am looking at before the market opens. And of course, if I see anything else significant going on in the market. You also get access to my Discord, and we have a small trading group, and I'm in that every single day. So if you have any questions or anything, or you want to bounce any ideas off us, we like to share a lot of our trading ideas in that on the Discord. But let's get into the trading activity now. I only made one trade today, and it was in CYRN. It seemed like I had a ton of trading activity, but I only actually made one trade. I actually had 4 option trades I tried to make on the TQQQ today, and I sat on the bid on all 4 and never got executed, just to watch it take off without me. But that's how it goes sometimes. I guess I should be grateful that I did have one winning trade today. But let's go to the minute chart and take a look at how this one unfolded. Let me back up the chart here and zoom it in a little bit easier for us so we can see. But CYRN had this nice gap up early in the morning. It kind of reversed and started to find some support right here and then round up. I saw this starting to happen, so I put in an order at $6.10, and that's exactly where I got executed at. So let me throw that little circle there so we can see it. I got executed at $6.10, and I put in my order to sell at $6.49, so right here. And it got executed just a few minutes later, so I ended up making about 6% on that trade, so that was a decent little trade. And if we follow this thing forward for the rest of the day, you can see it just kind of faded. A lot of these stocks that gap up like this, they'll kind of have a little bit of a surge in the first half hour to hour of the day, and then they'll kind of peter out. That's why I like to take profit early on. You know, some of these things just end up, you know, exploding higher and running the whole day, but more often than not, this is like the typical pattern on this gap and go trade that I like to take advantage of in the first half hour to hour of the day. But all in all, decent trade. I am disappointed I didn't get filled on any of those other option trades because those would have been nicely profitable as well. But that's all I have for this video, guys. If you have any questions, you know, leave it for me down there in the comment section. If you guys see any interesting stocks, you know, leave it down there for me in the comment section. I'm always looking for new trading ideas, and I would really appreciate it. But I'm going to end it right there. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end. And until next time, take care, everybody.